Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Pepper, and today I'll be giving you my first impressions on trekking through history. My first impression was that's a beautiful cover. When I first saw that, I knew that this was a game that I was interested in just on the cover alone, and I was hoping, crossing my fingers, that this would be a game that played as well as it looked. And I started to hear good things about it, gameplay wise, so I knew this was one to add to the collection. It was a no brainer. But yeah, so I've played it a couple times now, and so I'll be giving my thoughts, and I'll continue on the kind of art and components. For this first part, I'll cover the components, and the artwork does carry through. Some games have a great cover, and it just doesn't follow through into the game, but this one definitely does. You have over 100, I think there's about 140 unique events in history here, and each one has this great artwork on the card. Um, it's just so beautiful. Every single one, I have to take some time, look at it, admire it, and then get back to playing the game. It's just, I mean, the way the gameplay is, like, it doesn't need any art at all. It just needs the number and the symbols here and the cost. The fact that they just go through all that effort to uh, make this beautiful piece of art on every single card is just so appreciated. And they even put a little backstory for that event in history on the back that you can read as well, and that's just totally flavor text. You don't need it at all for the gameplay, but it's really nice that they did go through the effort to put that on there. But yeah, so apart from the beautiful cards, you have a neoprene mat, which has the slots for the cards, as well as a score track and a guide for how to score your different sets of cards that you gain throughout the game. Apart from that, you have a great insert in the box, as well as this tray here, which has a ton of plastic bits here, as well as some pink plastic gems. And the plastic bits were another part that had me very excited about this game, because it's not an upgrade or anything. It's just the base game bits come with these tokens, and they are just absolutely wonderful plastic bits. It's just crazy that that's in the base game. So the different resources. The wild one is a little disappointing. It doesn't really have much detail other than that W, and I feel like in comparison, like, you would think the wild one would be so special and unique, but really it's the most plain of them all. So that's one little minor nitpick from me. Apart from that, you have more plastic. These little pocket watch, where they manage your time on this giant board here, which is pretty much your action board here, and you're spending time as you go through history. Each player has one of these, and they actually stack very nicely, since you can do that on that track. And these are really nice, much thicker than I thought they would be. So that's the components. I mean, everything else component-wise is great. Like I said, the insert's great. The rule book is very good. They have a ton of these boards here, which are very clear what you get. I mean, it's not like there's really much artwork there, but it is very clear on all the symbols and everything there, the symbology. And one thing I really love about this is there's 3 decks of cards, easily separated by color of the banners, so you can easily separate the decks. But it actually lists all the different years, the makeup of the cards by year in each deck. This is wonderful to reference, to know what's out there in that deck, because that's the whole game. Oops, I was holding it upside down. The whole game kind of depends on the years on those cards, and it's so helpful to know what's even out there in the deck and kind of how far along you are in your sets. Because I guess into gameplay wise here, you'll be drafting your cards off of this on the bottom there. Each of those slots holds a card, and you draft these cards by paying on here. So you'll pay on here your time, and this is a wonderful rondel mechanism where if you are the farthest back, you get to go first, your next player here, and as you spend your various amounts of time, so maybe a card costs 1 time, you'll move it there, and you're still the player, because you're still farthest back, and you spend another time, you're on top of that token, you're still the farthest back, so you get to do possibly 2, 3, 4 maybe turns in a row, and I always love that mechanism in a game where the furthest back gets to go next. And if you take a higher valued card, a more valuable card, more cost card, which they have them here, various costs, which could just cost 1 time or possibly up to 4 or more time, possibly. I'm not sure the max on that, but if you go for those more valuable ones that will give you more tokens and more goods, you're going to be spending more time and maybe give the people behind you a chance to get multiple cards before you even get your next one. Always love that mechanism in a game, and I love the way that this balances kind of the years and the tokens. You're trying to fill out your boards here with those different tokens and gain points. These are points here, these are gems which you can use to manipulate the cost and move less time on that clock track. But yeah, you're trying to fill this board with different tokens, so in this case you want kind of a little bit of every color, but mostly a lot of blue tokens. And so you want to prioritize the ones that will give you blue tokens, not really any blue tokens on these ones, so that's a bad draw if you had that board there, but you also want to get cards in ascending order, chronological order. So if you had this 1985, you would not want to go then to the 1953 card right after that. If you did it the other way around, that's great. You can just stack those on top of each other, and like I showed you on the board, at the end you will score your sets for how many you got in chronological order in that set, hopefully up to 10 plus cards for 30 plus points, which is a lot. And very hard to do. I've seen it a couple times, but it's very difficult. Sometimes the cards that come out just aren't good for you. But yeah, but that's kind of alright because you do have those other boards, which even if a token maybe breaks your chain, breaks your trek, kills your streak of chronological cards, maybe it will give you the tokens that you need to get points here, because those can also be a ton of points, just as good points as those. So I really love that balance there. It always feels like there's something to gain, something good to get, even if there's no card out there that continues your set. Maybe something gives you really good tokens that you need for your itinerary or whatever this is thematically called. But yeah, there are a ton of these. I think there's 24 of these, which, I mean, it's not like it gives you a special ability in the game or anything like that. But it is nice to just have different ways about it. Like this one's trying to connect a lot of horizontal rows. Just a little different for each one. I really enjoy that variability versus, I mean, these could have been all the same, honestly. But yeah, you get this game takes place over 3 rounds. You kind of go around that clock board up until 12, which is a whole day, apparently, even though that's 12 hours. But yeah, so you get 3 of these in the game, which they refresh, and that's a little interesting because it can feel like you just missed out on maybe like 10 or more points, and you just weren't able to do it in the time of that day, and then it refreshes your board and you get a new one for the next round of the game. That can not feel the best to have it cut off, because your sets of cards do carry through from day to day. So when you switch from deck 1 to deck 2 to deck 3, you do carry over your ongoing set of cards, chronological cards, but these do not carry over. So it can hurt to be so close to such a large amount of points but just not be able to get that right token. But yeah, like I said, I just really love that balance. There's always something good. It just feels really satisfying to get all of those tokens that you get. It feels satisfying to get any year card that continues your set of cards. Everything is just so satisfying and so rewarding. Um, I will say that when you gain tokens and you do not have, so if you're maxed out on green, like green here, if you gain 2 green tokens, you place the one and the other one just goes to waste. I do wish there was something you could gain in place of that, maybe just like 1 point or something like that. Because that's the only thing really that feels like it really feels like a waste. But apart from that, it does. You do have to plan around that. So yeah, this do not get a lot of green because that's going to really be wasteful. But yeah, it's such a streamlined, simple game. It's just that collecting those tokens and trying to line up your cards. And it is interesting that when you have just one card in a set, it starts the set at -3 points. So you do have to get it up to quite a few cards in the set to actually make some good points. So you do not want to have a bunch of small sets of 2 or 1 cards because that's really not going to be good for you. But yeah, additionally, there are, so like I said, there's a ton of these for variability. There is an expansion, I'm not sure exactly if it's in every single copy. I'm not sure, but there are these time warp cards, which you get 1 each round, and they can give you a special ability, ongoing ability for that round, or possibly a special action that you can take once at that round, instead of your regular turn of going and gaining a card. And I have not played with these yet, but just looking at these few, they look really cool, and I think there's 24 of these as well, which could just really mix it up. So yeah, like this says you would pay 1 time, which is very cheap as it can possibly get, and that will say gain the benefit from your most recent card. So it could be this card that did cost you 3 and got you these 2 tokens, or maybe cost you 4, get you like 3 tokens, and you can just pay 1 and get all of those tokens over again, which is just really cool. Just feels so powerful. Here's an ongoing one. Gain 3 points for each experience you must return to the supply because its column is already full. So that is a little bit of what I complained about there. It's like if you get more greens than you can fit, if this was an active card on that day, those extra ones would be worth 3 points to you. So that kind of fixes that I said there. I do wish you did get something in the base game, but having that active and maybe being able to do that would possibly give a card like this a bit of an advantage, because they can just focus on getting greens and maybe get a ton of points that way. Here's another one. Discard one of your previous treks, which is one of your sets of cards. So maybe if you had a not really good scoring one, maybe just 2 or 3 cards, you can discard one of your previous treks and gain 1 blue token per card in that trek. So you could possibly, like I said, you could gain like 3 blue tokens or something and fill in all those, and that could possibly help to get possibly up to like 10 or more points. So these, I am really looking forward to playing with these, because these look very powerful, very rewarding, very awesome. But yeah, just even without those, my first impression of this game, I think I'd probably give it a 9 or a 10. It is everything that I wanted it to be. I wasn't looking for something super heavy or super crunchy. A pretty approachable game. A pretty approachable game. And it gave me that absolutely 100%. And I believe with that expansion, I think that's going to add a little more variability from game to game, because I mean, it could get samey. I could see that, just trying to get sets of ascending dates as well as fill in tokens, even though there's a bunch of different ones of these. I could see that getting samey. I don't think that's going to bother me that much, but if it does, I think that those special ability ones, being like 24 of them, I think that's going to bring a lot of variability to the game. And like I said, I'm not sure if these are in every copy of the game. This might have been. I'm not sure if they are. I thought there was something with these that they might not be in every copy of the game, so you can check to see if the Time Warp cards are included. But yeah, I think that would bring it up to an easy 10 for me. I'm really looking forward to trying those, but even right now, it's a 9, 9.5 to a 10. Absolutely love this game. Full recommendation from me. Let me know down below if you've played this or any game in the Trekking trilogy, what your thoughts were of them, and if you played more than one, what is your favorite of the games and why. But otherwise, thank you for watching. Check out my unboxing video of this. That should be uploaded along with this video. It should be linked in the description. But otherwise, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.